My sister-in-law framed me for embezzling from the family business, causing a rift between me and my husband, but I discovered her double life and used it to clear my name and restore my marriage. Here's how I exposed her lies and rebuilt my trust. If you told me a year ago that my life would take a nosedive because of someone I considered family, I would have laughed in your face. Our family business was thriving, and my relationship with my sister-in-law Lisa was nothing short of ideal. We were the dynamic duo, managing the day-to-day operations with ease, while my husband Jake handled the more technical side of things. Everything was smooth sailing, or so it seemed. Lisa was the kind of person who could charm anyone. She had this magnetic personality that drew people in, including me. From the moment Jake introduced us, I felt like I'd gained a sister I never had. We bonded over our shared love of fashion, endless cups of coffee, and marathon gossip sessions. It was comforting to have someone who understood the intricacies of both the business and the family dynamics. Our business, a boutique marketing firm, was our pride and joy. It wasn't just a job, it was our legacy. Lisa and I worked tirelessly to keep everything running smoothly, and our efforts paid off. Clients loved us, employees respected us, and our financials were rock solid. Or so I thought. It all started with a minor discrepancy in the accounts. Nothing too alarming at first. A few missing invoices here, an unexplained expense there. I brushed it off as human error. After all, managing a business meant dealing with the occasional hiccup. But as the weeks went by, the discrepancies became too frequent to ignore. One Friday evening, after everyone had left the office, Lisa and I were going over the accounts. I noticed her tense up every time I mentioned the discrepancies. "It's probably just a mistake," she said, her voice a little too casual. "I'll look into it." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something in the pit of my stomach told me that this was more than just a simple mistake. Jake noticed my unease and tried to reassure me. "You're overthinking, babe. Lisa's got it under control. We trust her, don't we?" I nodded, forcing a smile, but that nagging feeling wouldn't go away. Over the next few days, I started paying closer attention to the accounts. I stayed late at the office, going over every transaction with a fine-tooth comb. The more I dug, the more inconsistencies I found. It was as if someone was deliberately trying to cover their tracks. One night I decided to confront Lisa. She was in her office, tapping away on her laptop. I took a deep breath and walked in. "Lisa, we need to talk about these discrepancies." She looked up, her eyes wide with surprise. "Oh, hey. Yeah, I meant to tell you I found the problem. It was a coding error in our software. I fixed it." Relief washed over me. Thank God. I was starting to think something was seriously wrong. Lisa laughed, her usual charm back in full force. "Nope, just a glitch. We're all good." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to put all my doubts to rest and go back to our happy, perfect life. But something about her explanation didn't sit right with me. I decided to do some investigating of my own. Late one night, when Jake was asleep, I logged into our accounting software from home. I went over every transaction, every invoice, every expense, and that's when I found it. A series of transfers to an account I didn't recognize. The amounts were small enough to go unnoticed, but added up to a significant sum over time. I felt my heart race as I copied down the account details. Who did this account belong to? Why were there so many transfers? And most importantly, why hadn't Lisa mentioned it? The next morning I called the bank. After a long wait and a few security questions, I got the information I needed. The account belonged to Lisa. My hands trembled as I hung up the phone. This couldn't be happening. Lisa, my sister-in-law, my friend, was embezzling from our business. I spent the next few days in a daze trying to process the betrayal. How could she do this to us? To Jake? To me? I didn't know how to confront her without solid proof. I needed to be sure. So I dug deeper. I went through old emails, invoices, and even Lisa's personal files when she wasn't around. The more I uncovered, the clearer it became. Lisa was framing me. My heart sank as I realized the full extent of her plan. She wasn't just stealing from the business. She was setting me up to take the fall. I found emails she'd sent to Jake, subtly planting doubts about my competence and trustworthiness. She'd even gone as far as forging documents with my signature. I felt like I was living in a nightmare. The woman I'd trusted implicitly was systematically dismantling my life, and the worst part was, Jake was buying into her lies. He started questioning my decisions, second-guessing everything I did. The distance between us grew and our once solid relationship began to crumble. I had to act fast. I needed to find a way to expose Lisa before she ruined everything I'd worked so hard for. But how? She was smart, cunning, and always one step ahead. I couldn't afford to make a mistake. One wrong move, and she'd win. Determined to clear my name, I started planning my next steps. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I couldn't let Lisa get away with this. I couldn't let her destroy my marriage and my career. I had to fight back, no matter the cost. The days that followed my discovery were a blur. Every time I looked at Lisa, I saw a stranger. How had I missed the signs? Her subtle manipulation, her calculated moves, and her effortless lies had woven a web of deceit that now ensnared me. I had to be careful, patient, and most importantly, smart. One evening, as I was going over the forged documents in my home office, Jake walked in. His face was etched with concern. "We need to talk," he said, closing the door behind him. My heart pounded in my chest. I knew what was coming, but nothing could prepare me for the look of disappointment in his eyes. "I've been hearing things, seeing things that don't add up," he began, his voice trembling. "Lisa told me about some discrepancies she found. Money missing, strange transfers. She showed me emails with your name on them." My world tilted on its axis. Lisa had struck first, and I was on the defensive. "Jake, it's not what you think," I pleaded, my voice barely above a whisper. "I can explain everything." He held up his hand, stopping me. "I want to believe you, but the evidence is damning. How could you do this? Why didn't you come to me if there were issues?" Tears welled up in my eyes. "Because I didn't do it. Lisa is framing me. She's the one stealing from the business." Jake's face hardened. "That's a serious accusation. Do you have any proof?" I showed him the account details, the forged documents, and the suspicious transfers, but it was clear he was conflicted. "I don't know what to believe," he said, running a hand through his hair. "I need time to think." With that, he walked out, leaving me alone in my office, drowning in despair. The rift between us was growing, and Lisa was winning. I couldn't let her destroy everything I'd built. I had to find irrefutable proof of her guilt. The next day, I decided to take a bold step. I reached out to an old friend from college, Alex, who worked in cybersecurity. If anyone could help me uncover Lisa's deceit, it was him. We met at a quiet cafe where I laid out everything I knew. "She's good," Alex said after listening to my story, "but no one is that good. There will be traces, digital footprints. Give me access to the business accounts and I'll see what I can find." Desperate for any help, I handed over the login credentials. "Thank you, Alex. I don't know what I'd do without you." He smiled reassuringly. "Well, get to the bottom of this. Hang in there." Days turned into weeks as Alex dug into the accounts. Meanwhile, the tension between Jake and me escalated. He moved into the guest room and our interactions became strained and formal. Lisa's presence loomed large, her every word a poison that seeped into Jake's mind. One night, after another heated argument with Jake, I found myself in the kitchen staring at the family photos on the wall. We were so happy once. How had it all come to this? As I stood there, lost in thought, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Alex. "Found something. Meet me tomorrow." The next morning, I met Alex at his office. His expression was serious as he handed me a folder. "Lisa has been covering her tracks well, but not perfectly. I found emails between her and a third party discussing the embezzlement. She's been funneling money through multiple accounts, some of which are linked to offshore entities." My hands shook as I flipped through the documents. "This is it. This is the proof I need." Alex nodded. "There's more." I found evidence of her forging your signature and manipulating records to frame you. She even discussed her plan to make you the scapegoat in case things went south. Armed with this new evidence, I felt a renewed sense of determination. But I knew confronting Lisa directly wouldn't be enough. I needed to expose her in a way that left no room for doubt, and I needed Jake to see it with his own eyes. The next step was to gather the family and key members of the business for a meeting. It was time to reveal the truth. I coordinated with Alex to set up a presentation that would lay out all the evidence clearly and convincingly. When the day of the meeting arrived, I was a bundle of nerves. Jake, Lisa, and other family members filed into the conference room, unaware of what was about to unfold. Lisa gave me a sly smile, confident in her victory. But I had a trump card she wasn't expecting. As everyone settled in, I took a deep breath and began. Thank you all for coming. There's something important I need to address. Over the past few months, we've had some financial discrepancies that have caused a lot of stress and confusion. Today, I intend to clear the air and reveal the truth. I nodded to Alex, who started the presentation. The room fell silent as he laid out the evidence. Emails, bank transfers, and forged documents. Gasps and murmurs filled the air as the extent of Lisa's deception became clear. Lisa's face turned ashen as the realization of her impending downfall set in. She tried to interrupt, but I held up my hand. Lisa, you've betrayed our trust and endangered our business. The evidence speaks for itself. Jake's eyes darted between me and Lisa, shock and confusion etched on his face. Is this true, Lisa? Did you really do all this? For the first time, Lisa looked genuinely panicked. I can explain, she stammered. It's not what it looks like. But the damage was done. The proof was irrefutable, and her lies unraveled before our eyes. Jake turned to me, his eyes filled with regret. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I should have believed you. The meeting ended with Lisa being escorted out, her fate sealed. The family was in shock, but they rallied around me, offering support and apologies. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, but I knew the road to rebuilding my marriage and our business would be long and challenging. Jake and I had a lot to work through, but for the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. We had faced the storm and emerged stronger. Now it was time to rebuild, together. The aftermath of Lisa's exposure was a whirlwind of emotions and decisions. The shock reverberated through the family and the business. Everyone felt the betrayal, and the trust we'd built over years was shattered. It was like watching a beautiful painting being torn to pieces. And amidst all the chaos, I had to find a way to pick up the pieces. Jake and I had barely spoken since the meeting. He was struggling with the realization that his own sister had orchestrated such a cruel scheme. One evening, after another silent dinner, I found him sitting on the porch, staring into the distance. I joined him, unsure of what to say. I'm sorry, he said, breaking the silence. I should have trusted you. I should have seen the signs. I placed my hand on his. It's not your fault, Jake. Lisa was cunning and she played us all. But we can't let her win. We need to move forward. He looked at me, his eyes filled with remorse. I want to make things right. I want us to heal. That night marked the beginning of our journey to rebuild our relationship. It wasn't easy. There were days when the pain and mistrust threatened to overwhelm us. But we were determined to fight for what we had. We attended counseling sessions, both individually and together, to address the wounds Lisa had inflicted. Meanwhile, the business was in turmoil. Clients were nervous, employees were anxious, and the financial damage Lisa had caused needed to be repaired. I threw myself into work, determined to restore the company's reputation and stability. Late nights and early mornings became my norm as I navigated through the chaos. One morning, as I was going over the accounts, I received a call from our largest client, Mr. Thompson. I've heard about the recent events, he said, his voice stern. I'm concerned about the stability of your company. My heart sank. Losing Mr. Thompson's account would be a severe blow. I understand your concerns, Mr. Thompson. We've taken steps to address the issues, and I assure you we're committed to regaining your trust. There was a long pause. I'll give you a chance to prove it, he finally said. But I need to see concrete improvements. He'll be visiting your office next week for a thorough review. I thanked him and hung up, feeling a mix of relief and pressure. This was our chance to prove ourselves, but it meant everything had to be perfect. I called a meeting with the team, outlining our strategy and the changes we needed to implement. The week leading up to Mr. Thompson's visit was a blur of activity. We revamped our procedures, implemented stricter financial controls, and worked tirelessly to prepare. Jake and I even brought in an external auditor to review our books and provide an unbiased report. When the day of the review arrived, the atmosphere in the office was tense. Mr. Thompson arrived promptly at 9 a.m., his demeanor as imposing as ever. He scrutinized every detail, asked pointed questions, and left no stone unturned. By the end of the day, we were exhausted but hopeful. As Mr. Thompson prepared to leave, he turned to me. "You've done well. I see the effort and the changes. He'll continue our partnership, but I'll be keeping a close eye on things." Relief washed over me as I thanked him. It was a small victory, but a crucial one. We were slowly but surely regaining our footing. Despite the progress at work, the personal toll of Lisa's betrayal lingered. Family gatherings were tense, and the mention of Lisa's name was enough to cast a pall over any event. She had vanished after the meeting, and no one knew where she had gone. Part of me was relieved, but another part of me felt a strange sense of unfinished business. One evening, as I was going through some old photos, I found a picture of Lisa and me from a few years ago. We were at a beach, laughing and carefree. It was hard to reconcile that image with the person who had tried to destroy my life. I felt a mix of anger and sadness, wondering if there had ever been any genuine moments between us. The next day, I received an unexpected call from a private investigator I'd hired months ago when I first suspected Lisa's deceit. "I have some information you might find interesting," he said. We met at a quiet cafe where he handed me a file. "Lisa has been leading a double life," he explained. "I've found records of her involvement in various fraudulent activities across multiple states. She has a network of accomplices and has been using multiple identities." I felt a mix of vindication and horror as I flipped through the file. "Why are you telling me this now?" He shrugged. "I wasn't able to get solid proof until recently. I thought you should know. Armed with this new information, I knew I had to confront Lisa one last time. I needed closure, and I needed to ensure she couldn't harm anyone else." I shared the findings with Jake, who was equally shocked but supportive of my decision. Tracking Lisa down wasn't easy, but with the help of the investigator, we found her staying in a small town a few states away. Jake and I made the trip, determined to face her together. When we arrived at her apartment, my heart pounded in my chest. I knocked on the door, and after a few moments it opened. Lisa stood there, looking disheveled and surprised to see us. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice cold. "We know everything," I said, holding up the file. "Your double life, your fraudulent activities. It's over, Lisa." For a moment she looked scared, but then she laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "You think you can scare me? Go ahead, expose me, see if I care." Jake stepped forward. "We're not here to scare you, Lisa. We're here to make sure you never hurt anyone again. You've lost everything. Your family, your friends, your reputation. It's time to face the consequences." She glared at us, but there was a flicker of something else in her eyes. Fear. Maybe regret. "Fine. Do whatever you want. I don't care anymore." As we walked away from her apartment, I felt a sense of closure. Lisa had tried to destroy us, but we had survived. We were stronger and more united than ever. It wasn't the end I had imagined, but it was the end I needed. Returning home, Jake and I focused on rebuilding our life together. It wasn't easy, but we were committed to making it work. Our trust in each other had been tested, but it had also been strengthened. The business slowly recovered, and we regained the confidence of our clients and employees. The scars from Lisa's betrayal remained, but they served as a reminder of our resilience and determination. As the months passed, I found peace in the simple joys of life, spending time with Jake, working on the business, and cherishing the moments that truly mattered. Lisa was a part of our past, but she no longer had the power to control our future. With Lisa out of our lives, a strange calm settled over us. It was the calm after a storm, where everything feels eerily quiet but also hopeful. The business was stabilizing, our marriage was healing, and I finally had time to breathe. But the damage Lisa caused had deep roots, and I knew that rebuilding trust with Jake and our family would be a long journey. Despite the progress, there were still moments of tension and uncertainty. Jake and I were working on our communication, but the scars of betrayal ran deep. One evening, we decided to take a walk in the park, hoping the fresh air would do us some good. As we strolled hand in hand, Jake broke the silence. "I've been thinking a lot about everything that happened. It's still hard to believe Lisa could do something like that." I nodded, understanding his pain. "I know. I trusted her completely. But we can't let her actions define us. We have to focus on us, on our future." He squeezed my hand. "You're right. And I want you to know I'm committed to making this work. I love you and I believe in us." Those words, simple yet powerful, gave me the strength to keep moving forward. We spent the rest of the evening talking about our dreams, our plans, and the things that truly mattered. It felt like a fresh start, a chance to rebuild on a stronger foundation. Back at the office, the atmosphere was cautiously optimistic. The staff had rallied together in the wake of Lisa's betrayal, and there was a renewed sense of camaraderie. We held regular meetings to address any concerns and ensure everyone felt included in the recovery process. One day, while organizing some old files, I stumbled upon a folder labeled Personal Projects. Curious, I opened it and found notes and sketches for various marketing campaigns Lisa had been working on. As I flipped through the pages, something caught my eye: a list of contacts and client information that didn't match our official records. My heart raced as I realized what I had found. These were the names and details of clients Lisa had siphoned off to her own secret ventures. This was a treasure trove of information that could help us understand the full extent of her deceit. I immediately contacted Alex, our cybersecurity expert, to help me investigate further. Alex arrived at the office within the hour, and we locked ourselves in the conference room. "This is big," he said, scanning through the documents. "If we can trace these clients and transactions, we might be able to recover some of the lost funds." We spent the next few days diving deep into the records, following the trail of Lisa's secret dealings. It was painstaking work, but every piece of information brought us closer to understanding her network of accomplices and the extent of her fraud. As we uncovered more details, I felt a mix of anger and determination. Lisa had gone to great lengths to hide her activities, but she had underestimated our resolve. This was our chance to not only recover what was lost, but also to ensure she faced justice for her actions. Meanwhile, Jake and I continued to work on our relationship. We attended counseling sessions and made a conscious effort to spend quality time together. We knew that rebuilding trust would take time, but we were committed to the process. Every small victory, every moment of connection brought us closer. One weekend, we decided to take a trip to the mountains, away from the chaos of work and the lingering shadows of the past. The crisp air and breathtaking views provided a much-needed escape. As we hiked along the trails, we talked about our hopes and dreams for the future. "I want us to be happy again," Jake said, his eyes reflecting the serenity of the landscape. "I want to build new memories, ones that aren't tainted by betrayal." I smiled, feeling a surge of hope. "We will. We've come so far already. We can do this." The trip brought us closer, strengthening our bond and reminding us of the love that had brought us together in the first place. It was a reminder that no matter how dark the storm, there was always light on the other side. When we returned, we were greeted with good news. Alex had managed to trace several of Lisa's secret accounts, and had uncovered significant sums of money that could be recovered. It was a major breakthrough, and it felt like a turning point in our journey. With this new information, we contacted the authorities and provided them with the evidence we had gathered. The process was slow and complex, but we were determined to see it through. Lisa needed to face the consequences of her actions, not just for what she did to us, but for all the people she had deceived. As the investigation progressed, I focused on strengthening our business. We implemented new security measures, revised our protocols, and worked hard to rebuild our reputation. The support from our clients and staff was overwhelming, and it reinforced my belief in the power of resilience and determination. One evening, as I was wrapping up a particularly long day at the office, Jake walked in with a smile. "I've been thinking," he said. "We should celebrate our progress. How about a date night?" I grinned, feeling a warm rush of affection. "That sounds perfect. Let's do it." We went to our favorite restaurant, a cozy little place with the best Italian food in town. Over candlelit pasta and wine, we talked and laughed, reminiscing about the good times and looking forward to the future. It felt like we were finally turning a corner, leaving the darkness behind. That night, as we walked home hand in hand, I felt a renewed sense of hope and gratitude. We had faced incredible challenges, but we had emerged stronger and more united. The road ahead was still long, but we were ready to face it together. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity and emotions. The investigation into Lisa's fraudulent activities gained momentum, and the authorities were closing in on her network. The relief of seeing justice being served was tempered by the lingering pain of betrayal. It was a bittersweet victory, but it was a victory nonetheless. Amidst the chaos, Jake and I found solace in each other. We were rebuilding the foundation of our relationship, one step at a time. The progress was slow but steady, and every small step forward felt like a triumph. One day, as we were organizing the garage, Jake came across an old box of family memorabilia. Inside were photo albums, letters, and mementos from our early years together. We sat down on the floor, surrounded by memories, and began to sift through them. "Look at this," Jake said, holding up a photo of us from our honeymoon. We were on a beach, smiling and carefree. We were so happy then. I smiled, feeling a pang of nostalgia. We were, and we can be again. We spent the afternoon reminiscing, laughing at old stories, and rediscovering the love that had brought us together. It was a reminder that despite the challenges we had faced, our bond was strong and enduring. As the days went by, the investigation into Lisa's activities revealed more shocking details. It turned out that Lisa had been leading a double life for years. She had multiple identities, each with its own set of bank accounts and business ventures. Her web of deceit was far more extensive than we had initially thought. I remember the day the investigator called me with the latest findings. "Lisa has been involved in fraudulent activities across several states," he said. "She has a network of accomplices and has been using fake identities to launder money." I felt a mix of anger and disbelief. How did she manage to hide all of this for so long? "She's incredibly skilled at covering her tracks," the investigator replied, "but we have enough evidence to bring her to justice." The news was a turning point. It reinforced my resolve to see this through and ensure that Lisa faced the consequences of her actions. But it also made me realize how deeply she had infiltrated our lives and our business. With the evidence in hand, we contacted the authorities and prepared for the next steps. It was a complex process, but we were determined to see it through. The support from our friends, family, and colleagues was overwhelming, and it gave us the strength to keep going. Meanwhile, the business was slowly recovering. We implemented new security measures, revised our protocols, and worked tirelessly to rebuild our reputation. The staff rallied around us, and their dedication and loyalty were a constant source of encouragement. One afternoon, as I was going through some old emails, I found a message from a client who had been affected by Lisa's deceit. "I want to thank you for your transparency and honesty," he wrote. "It's clear that you and your team are committed to making things right." Reading those words brought tears to my eyes. It was a reminder that despite the challenges, we were making progress. We were rebuilding trust one step at a time. Jake and I continued to work on our relationship. We attended counseling sessions and made a conscious effort to spend quality time together. We knew that rebuilding trust would take time, but we were committed to the process. Every small victory, every moment of connection brought us closer. One weekend, we decided to take a trip to a nearby vineyard. It was a beautiful sunny day, and the vineyard was a serene escape from the chaos of our daily lives. We strolled through the rows of grapevines hand in hand and talked about our dreams for the future. "I want us to create new memories," Jake said, his eyes filled with hope. "I want us to move forward and leave the past behind." I nodded, feeling a sense of peace. "We will. We've come so far already. We can do this." The trip was a turning point. It brought us closer, strengthening our bond and reminding us of the love that had brought us together in the first place. It was a reminder that no matter how dark the storm, there was always light on the other side. As the investigation into Lisa's activities progressed, we received word that she had been located and arrested. The news was a mix of relief and sadness. It marked the end of a long and painful chapter, but it also brought closure and justice. With Lisa in custody, the authorities began the process of untangling her web of deceit. It was a slow and painstaking process, but it was necessary to ensure that she faced the full consequences of her actions. We cooperated fully, providing all the evidence we had gathered and sharing our story with the investigators. The days that followed were a mix of emotions. There was relief at seeing justice being served, but there was also a lingering sense of betrayal and loss. Lisa had been a part of our lives for so long, and her actions had left deep scars. But amidst the pain, there was also hope. Jake and I were stronger than ever, and our business was slowly recovering. We had faced incredible challenges, but we had emerged stronger and more united. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Jake turned to me. "We've been through so much, but we've made it. I'm proud of us." I smiled, feeling a sense of peace. "Me too. We have a lot to be grateful for." As the sun dipped below the horizon, I felt a renewed sense of hope and gratitude. We had faced the storm and emerged stronger. The road ahead was still long, but we were ready to face it together. With Lisa in custody and the investigation in full swing, a semblance of normalcy began to return to our lives. However, the emotional scars from the betrayal still lingered. Jake and I were more committed than ever to rebuilding our trust and ensuring that our business thrived despite the challenges we had faced. One evening, as we were unwinding after a long day, Jake brought up an idea that had been on his mind. "I think we should do something special to celebrate how far we've come," he said, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "How about a renewal of our wedding vows?" The suggestion caught me off guard, but in the best possible way. "Jake, that's a beautiful idea," I replied, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. "It would be a wonderful way to mark a new beginning." We spent the next few weeks planning the ceremony, focusing on creating a meaningful and intimate event. It felt good to look forward to something positive, and the anticipation brought us even closer. We decided to hold the ceremony at a scenic location in the countryside, surrounded by close friends and family. Amidst the preparations, we continued to work closely with the authorities on the investigation. The extent of Lisa's deceit was staggering, but the evidence we had gathered was damning. The authorities assured us that she would face severe consequences for her actions. As the investigation progressed, we learned more about Lisa's accomplices and her intricate network of fraudulent activities. It was a complex web, but piece by piece it was being dismantled. The process was slow, but it was gratifying to see justice being served. One day I received a call from the lead investigator, Detective Harris. "We have new information," he said, his tone serious. "Lisa's network is larger than we initially thought, and we've identified several key players. We need your help to bring them down." I felt a mix of apprehension and determination. "What do you need from us?" "We're planning a sting operation," Detective Harris explained. We need you and Jake to play a crucial role in setting the trap. Your cooperation and inside knowledge are vital to making this work." The idea of participating in a sting operation was daunting, but I knew it was the right thing to do. Jake and I discussed it at length, and despite our fears, we agreed to help. This was our chance to put an end to Lisa's criminal activities once and for all. The plan was intricate and required precise coordination. We spent hours going over the details with the authorities, ensuring that every aspect was covered. The operation would take place at a high-profile event where several of Lisa's accomplices were expected to be present. As the day of the operation approached, the tension in our household was palpable. We knew the risks involved, but we also understood the importance of our role. This was our opportunity to turn the tables on Lisa and her network. The night of the event, we arrived at the venue, our hearts pounding with anticipation. We mingled with the crowd, keeping an eye out for the key players Detective Harris had identified. The authorities were in place, ready to move at a moment's notice. As the evening progressed, we spotted several of Lisa's accomplices. Jake and I exchanged nervous glances, knowing that the moment of truth was drawing near. We discreetly signaled to Detective Harris, who gave us a nod of acknowledgement. The tension reached its peak when one of Lisa's top associates, a man named Marcus, approached us. "Nice to see you here," he said with a sly smile. "I hear you've been through quite an ordeal." I forced a smile, trying to hide my nerves. "Yes, it's been challenging, but we're moving forward." Marcus' eyes flickered with suspicion. "I hope you're not thinking of causing any trouble tonight." Before I could respond, Detective Harris and his team moved in, surrounding Marcus and his associates. "You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud and embezzlement," Harris announced, his voice firm. The scene erupted into chaos as the authorities apprehended the suspects. Jake and I watched in awe as the operation unfolded, feeling a mix of relief and triumph. We had done it. We had helped bring down Lisa's network and ensured that justice would be served. In the days that followed, the news of the sting operation spread, and the response from our clients and the community was overwhelmingly positive. Our decision to cooperate with the authorities had not only helped dismantle a criminal network, but had also restored faith in our integrity. The vow renewal ceremony was a beautiful and emotional event. Surrounded by our loved ones, Jake and I reaffirmed our commitment to each other, celebrating the strength and resilience that had carried us through the darkest times. As we exchanged vows, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey we had undertaken together. As the sun set on that perfect day, I looked around at the faces of our friends and family, feeling a deep sense of contentment. We had faced incredible challenges, but we had emerged stronger and more united. The road ahead was still uncertain, but we were ready to face it together. With Lisa's network dismantled and our business recovering, we finally felt a sense of closure. The journey had been long and painful, but it had also been a testament to the power of love, trust, and resilience. Life seemed to be settling into a new normal after the sting operation. Jake and I had our vow renewal ceremony, which had been a beautiful and emotional reset for us both. Our business was slowly regaining its footing, and with Lisa's network dismantled, a sense of justice and closure began to permeate our lives. However, despite the progress, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was unfinished business. Lisa was still out there, awaiting trial, and I needed to confront her one last time. I needed answers, closure, and perhaps a chance to understand how someone I had once trusted could have done such horrible things. One day I received a call from Detective Harris. "Lisa's agreed to meet with you," he said, his tone cautious. "Under strict supervision, of course. It'll be in the detention center's visitor area." My heart pounded. "Thank you, Detective. I need to do this." The day of the meeting arrived. I felt a mix of anxiety and determination as I walked into the detention center. Jake insisted on coming with me, his presence a comforting reminder that we were in this together. We were led to a stark, sterile room with a single table and chairs. The guard motioned for us to sit and then left to bring Lisa in. A few minutes later, the door opened and Lisa walked in, flanked by guards. She looked different, hardened, almost unrecognizable. Her eyes met mine, and for a moment I saw a flicker of the woman I once knew. But it was quickly replaced by a cold, calculating gaze. "Well, well," Lisa said, taking a seat across from us. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I need to understand why, Lisa. Why did you do all of this? You were family." She laughed, a bitter sound that echoed off the walls. "Family? Is that what you think we were? You never understood, did you? I was always in your shadow, always second best. This was my way of taking control, of getting what I deserved." Her words stung, but I pressed on. "You had everything, Lisa. We trusted you, loved you. How could you betray us like this?" Her expression hardened. "Love? Trust? Those are just words. I did what I had to do to survive, to thrive. And if that meant stepping on a few people along the way, so be it." Jake, who had been silent until now, leaned forward. "You destroyed lives, Lisa. This isn't just about us. You hurt so many people." Lisa shrugged, her indifference chilling. "Collateral damage. You wouldn't understand." I shook my head, feeling a mix of sadness and anger. "You're right. I don't understand. But I needed to hear it from you. I needed to know if there was any part of you that felt remorse." For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Regret, perhaps? But it was gone as quickly as it appeared. "Remorse is for the weak," she said, her voice cold. The guards signaled that our time was up. As they led Lisa away, I felt a strange sense of closure. I had my answers, as painful as they were. Lisa had made her choices, and now she had to face the consequences. Leaving the detention center, Jake and I walked in silence for a while. Finally, he spoke. "Are you okay?" I nodded, wiping away a tear. "I think I am. I needed to hear it from her to understand. Now we can truly move on." In the weeks that followed, life continued to improve. The business was thriving again, and our clients' trust had been restored. Jake and I were closer than ever, our relationship stronger for having weathered the storm. One evening, as we were having dinner, my phone buzzed with a notification. It was an email from our private investigator, Alex. "New developments," the subject line read. Curious, I opened the email and scanned the contents. My heart skipped a beat as I read. Alex had discovered a hidden stash of documents that detailed even more of Lisa's fraudulent activities. It was clear that her network was even larger than we had thought. "Jake, you need to see this," I said, handing him my phone. He read the email, his expression growing serious. "We need to bring this to Detective Harris." We contacted Detective Harris and set up a meeting to discuss the new findings. The detective was impressed with Alex's thoroughness and agreed that the new evidence would strengthen the case against Lisa and her accomplices. The new developments reignited the investigation, and more arrests were made. The authorities uncovered even more layers of Lisa's deceit, and the case against her grew stronger by the day. Despite the renewed focus on the investigation, Jake and I continued to focus on our business and our relationship. We had learned the hard way that life was too short to be consumed by anger and resentment. Instead, we channeled our energy into building a future together, one filled with love, trust, and hope. One evening, as we were sitting on the porch watching the sunset, Jake turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "You know, we should consider expanding the business. We've learned so much from this experience, and we have a lot to offer." I smiled, feeling a surge of excitement. "That's a great idea. We could use what we've learned to help other businesses avoid the pitfalls we faced." Over the next few months, we worked tirelessly to expand our business, offering consulting services and sharing our story with others. Our efforts paid off, and soon we were recognized as leaders in the industry, known not just for our expertise but also for our resilience and integrity. As the months passed, the trial date for Lisa and her accomplices approached. Jake and I were called to testify, and we knew it would be a difficult but necessary step in seeking justice. The day of the trial arrived, and we sat in the courtroom surrounded by friends, family, and colleagues who had supported us throughout our journey. Lisa was brought in, her demeanor as cold and unrepentant as ever. As we took the stand, we recounted our story, sharing the pain and betrayal we had experienced, but we also spoke of the strength and resilience we had found in each other and in our community. It was a cathartic experience, a chance to finally put the past behind us. The jury deliberated for what felt like an eternity, but eventually they returned with a guilty verdict. Lisa and her accomplices were sentenced to long prison terms, and justice was served. Leaving the courtroom, Jake and I felt a sense of closure and relief. The ordeal was finally over, and we could truly move forward. Life continued to improve and our business flourished. We traveled, explored new opportunities, and cherished the moments that truly mattered. The experience had changed us, but it had also brought us closer together, forging a bond that was stronger than ever. One evening, as we were sitting on the porch watching the sunset, Jake turned to me with a smile. "We've been through so much, but we've come out stronger. I couldn't have done it without you." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "We did it together, Jake, and that's what matters." As the sun dipped below the horizon, I felt a renewed sense of hope and contentment. We had faced the storm and emerged stronger. The road ahead was still uncertain, but we were ready to face it together, with love, trust, and resilience guiding us every step of the way. The trial's conclusion marked a turning point in our lives. With Lisa and her accomplices convicted, we finally felt a sense of justice and closure. But the journey wasn't over. Rebuilding trust, both in our personal lives and in the business, was a continuous process that required time, effort, and patience. In the months that followed, Jake and I focused on strengthening our relationship. We took up new hobbies together, traveled to places we'd always wanted to visit, and made a conscious effort to communicate openly and honestly. Our bond, tested by betrayal and strengthened by resilience, grew deeper and more profound. One weekend, we decided to take a trip to a cabin in the mountains. The serene setting provided the perfect backdrop for reflection and connection. As we sat by the fireplace, sipping hot cocoa, Jake turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "You know," he began, "we've come so far. I sometimes wonder what our future holds, but I feel more confident about it than ever before." I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through me. "Me too. We've faced so many challenges, but we've come out stronger. I believe in us." We spent the weekend hiking, talking, and enjoying each other's company. It was a reminder of the simple joys in life and the importance of being present in the moment. The trip brought us closer, reaffirming our commitment to each other and our future. Back in the office, the atmosphere was optimistic. The business had not only recovered but was thriving. Our clients had been incredibly supportive, and the positive feedback we received was overwhelming. It felt like a fresh start, a chance to build something even better than before. One day, while going through some old files, I came across a letter from a former employee who had left during the height of the crisis. The letter expressed regret for leaving and admiration for how we had handled the situation. It was a touching reminder of the impact we had on those around us. Inspired by the letter, I decided to reach out to some of our former employees and invite them to return. To my surprise and delight, many of them accepted the offer, eager to be part of our renewed vision. Their return brought a sense of continuity and reinforced the family-like atmosphere we had always cherished. As we continued to grow and expand the business, we also focused on giving back to the community. We started a scholarship fund for aspiring entrepreneurs and sponsored local events to support small businesses. It was our way of paying it forward and making a positive impact. One evening, as Jake and I were reviewing the business plans, he looked up with a mischievous smile. "I have an idea. How about we write a book about our journey? We can share our story, the lessons we've learned, and offer advice to others facing similar challenges." The idea intrigued me. "That sounds like a fantastic idea. We have so much to share, and if our experience can help others, it would be worth it." We spent the next few months working on the book, recounting the highs and lows of our journey. Writing it was a cathartic experience, allowing us to process our emotions and reflect on how far we had come. The book, titled Stronger Together: Our Journey Through Betrayal and Resilience, was published to positive reviews and became a source of inspiration for many. As we promoted the book and shared our story, we received messages from people who had faced similar challenges. Their stories of perseverance and resilience touched our hearts and reinforced the importance of community and support. Despite the progress, there were still moments of doubt and fear. Trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild. But each day brought new opportunities to strengthen our bond and create a future based on love and mutual respect. One afternoon, Jake surprised me with a small, beautifully wrapped box. "This is for you," he said, his eyes shining with love. I opened the box to find a delicate necklace with a heart-shaped pendant. Inside the heart was a small key. "What's this for?" I asked, curious. Jake took my hand and led me to a drawer in his desk. He pulled out a matching heart-shaped pendant with a tiny lock. "It's a symbol," he explained. "The key represents our trust, and the lock our hearts. We hold the keys to each other's hearts, and we promise to keep them safe." Tears filled my eyes as I clasped the necklace around my neck. "Thank you, Jake. This means so much to me." He smiled, pulling me into a warm embrace. "We've been through a lot, but I believe in us. We have the strength to overcome anything." As the months turned into years, our lives continued to evolve. The business flourished, our relationship deepened, and we found joy in the everyday moments. We celebrated milestones, faced challenges with courage, and supported each other through thick and thin. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Jake turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "You know, we've built something incredible together. Our journey has been tough, but it's also been rewarding. I'm grateful for every moment." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "Me too, Jake. We've come so far, and I wouldn't trade our journey for anything." As the sun dipped below the horizon, I felt a renewed sense of hope and gratitude. We had faced the storm and emerged stronger. The road ahead was still uncertain, but we were ready to face it together, with love, trust, and resilience guiding us every step of the way. As the years passed, Jake and I continued to grow and evolve both as individuals and as a couple. The journey we had been on had taught us invaluable lessons about trust, resilience, and the power of love. Our business had become a beacon of integrity and success, and our relationship had never been stronger. The release of our book, Stronger Together: Our Journey Through Betrayal and Resilience, had brought us into contact with people from all walks of life who had faced similar challenges. We had become speakers at conferences, sharing our story and offering guidance to those navigating their own storms. It was rewarding to know that our experiences were helping others find their way. One particularly memorable conference took us to New York City. Standing on stage in front of hundreds of people, Jake and I recounted our journey, the betrayal, the pain, and ultimately, the triumph. As we spoke, I could see the faces of the audience reflecting a range of emotions: empathy, hope, and inspiration. After our talk, a woman approached us, tears in her eyes. "Thank you for sharing your story," she said. "It gives me hope that I can rebuild my life too." Her words touched me deeply. "You can," I replied, holding her hand. "It's not easy, but with determination and the right support, you can overcome anything." The connections we made through these events reinforced our belief in the importance of community and support. It was a reminder that we were all in this together, and that by sharing our stories, we could help each other heal and grow. Back home, life settled into a comfortable rhythm. Our business continued to thrive, and we found joy in the simple moments: weekend hikes, family dinners, and quiet evenings on the porch. The pain of the past had become a distant memory, replaced by a profound sense of gratitude for the present. One summer evening, as we were sitting on the porch watching the fireflies dance in the twilight, Jake turned to me with a serious expression. "There's something I've been thinking about," he said. We've rebuilt our lives and our business, and we've helped others through our story. But there's one more thing I'd like to do." I looked at him, curious. "What is it?" "I want to start a foundation," he replied. "A non-profit organization that supports people who have been through betrayal and fraud. We can offer counseling, legal assistance, and resources to help them rebuild their lives." The idea resonated with me immediately. "That's a wonderful idea, Jake. We have the means and the experience to make a real difference." We spent the next few months planning and establishing the foundation, which we named the Phoenix Rising Foundation. The name symbolized the idea of rising from the ashes, stronger and more resilient than before. Our mission was to provide support and resources to individuals and families affected by betrayal and fraud, helping them find hope and rebuild their lives. The foundation quickly gained traction, and we were able to hire a dedicated team of professionals who shared our vision. We organized workshops, support groups, and legal clinics, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. People from all over the country reached out, sharing their stories and seeking assistance. One day we received a letter from a woman named Sarah. She had been a victim of a Ponzi scheme and had lost everything: her savings, her home, and her trust in people. With the help of our foundation, she had found the strength to start over, and she wanted to thank us for giving her hope. Reading her letter brought tears to my eyes. It was a powerful reminder of why we had started the foundation and the impact we were having on people's lives. Sarah's story, and the stories of so many others, reinforced our commitment to the Foundation's mission. As the years went by, the Phoenix Rising Foundation became a pillar of support for countless individuals and families. Our work brought us immense satisfaction and a sense of purpose. It was a testament to the idea that out of great pain can come great strength and resilience. One evening, as Jake and I were preparing for our annual gala to raise funds for the foundation, he turned to me with a smile. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" I nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride and gratitude. "We have, and I couldn't have done it without you." He took my hand, his eyes reflecting the love and admiration I felt for him. "We've done it together, and that's what makes it so special." The gala was a resounding success, with supporters and beneficiaries of the foundation coming together to celebrate and raise funds. As I stood on stage, looking out at the faces of those we had helped, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment. We started this foundation to give back, to help others find hope and rebuild their lives, I said, my voice filled with emotion. "Your support has made this possible, and together we are making a difference." The applause was thunderous, and as I stepped off the stage, Jake wrapped me in a warm embrace. "I'm so proud of you," he whispered. "I'm proud of us," I replied, tears of joy streaming down my face. As we stood there, surrounded by friends, family, and supporters, I realized that our journey had come full circle. We had faced betrayal and pain, but we had emerged stronger, our love and trust in each other unshakable. And through our foundation, we were helping others do the same. The road ahead was still uncertain, but we were ready to face it together. With love, trust, and resilience guiding us every step of the way, we knew that we could overcome anything. Our story was a testament to the power of the human spirit, and as we moved forward, we did so with hope, gratitude, and a renewed sense of purpose. Thank you for reading our story. Have you ever faced a betrayal that shook your world? How did you find the strength to move forward? We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Let's continue this journey together.